Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Eastern Shore Talk, your podcast for all things self care movies. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're glad to have you. This is episode 75. I'm Jay Watson.
And I'm Cathy Castle.
And Cathy and I are joined by a very special guest today that Cathy and I both have a history with and we're just now discovering. So we are going to be joined by a special guest, Leia Wilkins, today to give herself what we call our self-care testimonials. And for those of you who have been following the podcast, you know that the self-care testimonials is when folks come on and they talk about maybe some struggles they've had in life, but more importantly, they talk about how they're navigating those things and the things in self-care that they're doing now to help them kind of navigate what they've gone through in their life and just kind of talk about the specific things in self-care that are important to them for just getting through their life. So, Leia, welcome. We are so glad to have you.
Yep, we're bringing in the young ones because Jay and I are 152 years old, so it's good to bring in the next generation.
The young ones are important. I feel like the young ones don't really feel like they should speak up a lot, but I feel like that's the best time to do it. So I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to speak on, what I have to say.
Awesome. We're glad to have you.
So, full disclosure, I have known Leia since she was about 6 years old. Through friends and family, we kind of have a crossover there. And she reached out to me a few weeks ago and said, "Hey, I'm interested in coming on the podcast and talking about some stuff." And I think it's pretty cool that anyone. And Cathy, I was counting the other day. We've had 25 different guests come on.
Really?
And
I didn't know we've had that many.
Give their self care testimonials about whatever they've gone through. Mm-hmm. So Lee will be number 26 for the self care testimonials. But I was both honored and proud that someone that I've kind of watched grow up is come to the point in her journey where she wants to tell her story and serve others as much as she can. So
100%.
Lee, you want to talk about why exactly you decided you want to come on our podcast?
Yeah, so I got a long spiel to say. I'll just start at the beginning. I first realized I had anxiety at 10 years old, and again at 10 I didn't realize it was anxiety. I didn't even really know what it was. I had just lost my great grandmother, who I lived with for a long time, and she was my heart and soul. And all of a sudden I just felt really anxious about everything in my life, whether it was somebody going away for a couple hours or doing this or doing that. It was really hard for me to handle that. And later I got diagnosed with transitional anxiety, which makes a lot of sense now that I'm older. But as I was younger, I had no idea what I was going through, and I unfortunately was a kid that kept it to myself, and I didn't really deal with it, and I would just lay in bed at night, and all I can describe it as this awful, sickening gut feeling that I would have. And I couldn't sleep. I couldn't, I just didn't feel good at all, and then I would end up crawling into my mom's bed because that was the only place I felt like I could actually go to sleep. The hardest part that I realized as I got older was, how you put an animal down? So when I was little, I would look forward to something, like let's say we went to Disney, or let's say I had a horse show coming up. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to make it through this next week, or I'm going to make it through this weekend, and then I'm going to go to the hospital and have them put me down, because I thought that was normal. And I thought that was something that I could do. And I didn't realize until I got older, I was like, oh gosh, this is not normal. And they would never do that. They would lock me in a room, in a padded room. But that was what kept me going for so many years, is that I kept telling myself, like, you have an out, you have an out, you have an out. But I would always try and find things to look forward to. And so, obviously when I was younger, that, it didn't really bother me. I thought it was normal. And then as I got older, I realized that that was not normal. And, and then I found friends who had the same issues that I had. And we started, talking about it. And I was like, man, I'm not alone. But it still felt so lonely. And that's the thing, is that everybody feels that, what they're going through, they're alone, but you're not really alone. I just felt like I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I was almost afraid to talk to people about it because I didn't want to be locked in that padded room. So I just kind of kept things to myself. And as I got older, I found things that would help me. My horses are my whole life and soul, and I couldn't imagine not having them. And then, my pediatrician was like, let's put you on some medicine. That's what everybody does. They're like, let's put you on some medicine. And without doing any blood work, without doing this, without doing that, and I know medicine's a tough subject, it helps some people, but without the proper, doctor, and without the proper, blood work and stuff, you really don't know what you should be on. So I went through a really tough journey trying all these medications and not doing it right. I mean, I was on this medicine and then they immediately took me off of it without weaning me off of it. And I went through severe withdrawals, and then they put me on another one. And it ended up really going really bad for me until they finally sent me to a psychiatrist. And, I finally felt like I was getting somewhere, and he was listening, and he realized what I needed. And he did prescribe me a medicine that I take as needed when I need it. Mm-hmm. And that helps with my anxiety as well, because I had anxiety about the medicine. Mm-hmm. I was like, what if I can't have it? What if that? What if that? I don't want to be addicted to this stuff. So it was great that I feel like I finally had somebody who listened without just like writing the script and trying to just get me out of the office. I couldn't find a therapist that would listen to me, that was not trying to get their agenda done, and just get me in and out of there, which is what they do. So I was very grateful to find somebody. I think it's very important to find somebody that you connect with, find somebody who listens, and find something that works for you. And, obviously some people need medicine, but I'm here to advocate that I don't think you need medicine, all the time. You can find other ways to do things.
Is this a good time to pause?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not interrupting your story, or am I?
No, I'm in a moment.
So I usually don't go clinical on this podcast, but I may do it just for a minute in this particular case. So, and I'm taking some notes. I'm not gonna do anything with these notes, just so you know that. But I'm taking some notes because I'm thinking about you, and I'm just gonna refer back to what you've said so far. So, one, I am really proud of you right now, because you're telling a story that I'm sure lots of people are very familiar with in their own life, but are afraid to say that story. So it seems to me that you are able to identify that your journey with some anxiety or some problems began from a loss, from a significant loss in your life. So you're 10 years old, and was it a grandmother or a great-grandmother? What did you say?
Great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother. So that was a important figure in your life, and now you're 10, and you've lost that person, and you didn't know what to do with that. And I can tell you that I don't care how many people Jay and I have on this podcast, everything goes back, in my opinion, to some kind of grief issue.
Childhood
trauma, sure. Which is a trauma. It is a trauma. But grief and loss is, I just can't tell you how common it is for everybody. Something goes back to something, and then they get stuck there. Something's very, very paralyzing right then. So with you, you know, you're going to do what a kid's going to do. You're going to kind of turn in. Most kids do turn in. Like you're acknowledging you had some thoughts that, about, okay, there's going to be an end to this. That's not uncommon. I mean, if we're going to normalize conversations and beat stigma, we got to talk about what really happened. So you're having some thoughts that I wouldn't want you to have. Jay doesn't want you to have. Nobody wants you to have. But yet your brain did that to you. You couldn't control that. Your brain did that to you. So we need to acknowledge those things. Those thoughts do happen. Rather, if we can sit back here and say, why did that person do that, or why did that person have that thought? But you can't help it.
Can I stop you right there, Kathy? I got a real quick question.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that a neurological thing as opposed to a conscious thing?
I don't know that I'd call it neurological. I mean, that's her brain, that's her brain trying to make sense of things. That's her brain pain right there. Right. That's
I wasn't
out.
even
But is
conscious.
it
I
the
mean, I
fight?
was
Is it the
10
fight
years
or
old.
flight
I
thing?
had no
It
idea.
goes in there, right? It's like, this has happened. I feel like this. How do I get out of that? So that is just something that happens to a lot of people. So what I heard you're pretty smart for a little person. You were pretty smart for a little person. So what I hear that you did was two things. You were having trouble sleeping because you had some intrusive thoughts or whatever, and you went to your mom for comfort, and you were with her. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then you were smart enough to reach out for a support network. You found friends that had similar kind of situations, and you talked with them. Not everybody's that good, Leah. You really, pulled that out pretty young. And I would say that all day long. You find your people, you find who supports you. So that was a good thing that you did. And then you found the horses. That's your self care. And then you did the thing that we all do. Okay. It's the let's go to the pediatrician. That would be the first layer. That makes sense. Yes, there's a lot of opinions about medication. I have my own opinions. I'll say it. I'll say what my opinions are in a minute. And then you finally made your way to a psychiatrist, and you made a good point about finding the correct therapist. So I will say, in my opinion, for doing this work for a long time, I'm also not a fan of pushing prescription meds. I mean, I work with a lot of people in the business that I am that absolutely meds have saved their life, and they need them to stay calm and neutral and clear. But I think as a society, as an industry, we push it way too much. So, and on those little brains, what can we do to help those little brains besides, dulling those little brains? So I really respect,
Especially not having the blood work done that you were
yeah,
talking about.
I respect you for thinking that way, for saying maybe this isn't for me, and I'm glad that the psychiatrist was somebody to listen to you. And I am by license a therapist. I don't do therapy with anybody right at this current time, but I get it. Not everybody's for everybody, right? Not everybody's. You got to find the person that you gel with, that you fit with. And it is a complex system. I could see how you felt that you were just somebody needed to check a box to do the thing with you, right? To just do the thing. But you didn't feel validated, or you didn't feel that was the right match for you. So that's what I would suggest. If somebody's feeling like that, like, I'm sure I wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea if I was doing therapy, but I might be some people's cup of tea, Jay. But
That's an inside joke, Leah.
so you gotta find what works for you. But anyway, I'm gonna get off my pedestal right now, but I am proud of what you did with very little information and a whole lot of good instinct to try to figure out how to help yourself.
And it was trial and error. I mean, I didn't even know it wasn't right until I did it. I was just like, okay, they're going to help me. And then once, they put me on the medication, I was like, this is not working. I feel worse. And she was like, all right, we'll put you on another one. And then we'll put you on another one. And every time it made me feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And, it got so bad that I never felt worse in my whole life. And I didn't think that was even possible. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older at 16, 17 that I realized that, all this wasn't right and I needed to advocate for myself because nobody else was going to do that, and
Yeah.
and it was that, or it was, what I said before, and obviously I didn't want to do that.
Jay, maybe
I
we need to look for somebody that can come on that's more of an expert in what kind of alternative therapies there would be for kids for the growing brain, because you're a kid then, your brain is developing, hormones galore, and then you're trying to deal with all this and throw some medicine in there and shake it up. So maybe that's a area you and I could look for somebody, Jay, that could
Yeah.
give good advice for the young ones on what other.
Why do I feel like there's somebody coming to the expo that deals with children? That for some reason that sticks in my mind. I'll look into that.
Anyway, that's just a thought.
So, Leah, I've got 2 questions, and I'm a big 2 question at a time kind
He
of
has
guy.
a 2 questions, so if you can't answer one of them, don't worry about it.
So, my first question is for those of like I did when you said transitional anxiety. That's a new term to me. So, A, describe exactly what that is, and B, are there things have you learned over time that there are triggers and there are things that kind of kick you into that bad space that you have kind of learned to kind of deal with and navigate, if that makes sense?
Do you want me to
Yeah,
give
no, it's a very good question.
you want me to give you a definition real quick that I looked
Yeah,
up?
go ahead.
Poor child doesn't have to do this. Transitional anxiety refers to the worry, nervousness, or unease experienced when facing significant life changes or transitions. So anyway, I'll finish reading it. These changes can be positive or negative, but the uncertainty and new challenges can bring can bring on a trigger of anxiety. Understanding that traditional anxiety is a normal reaction to change can help in managing these feelings. So I would say transitional anxiety has probably been around a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe the term is just
Yeah,
new.
the initial trigger of your great grandmother was
Change.
the
That's
change.
what kind of started, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't get diagnosed with it until I was a lot later. And I'm like, oh my God, my whole life kind of makes sense now because everything that I've had anxiety about was anything changing. If I could keep
Yeah.
everything exactly the
Yeah.
same, that's where I find peace. But anytime something changes, somebody goes away for a couple hours, somebody, I have to move, or I got to get a new job, or, anything that changes, it's a trigger. It is.
Huh. Kathy,
Right.
does that sound familiar to you, Kathy?
Jay, we ain't talking about you today. I get it. And it's that whole uncertainty of things and trust and relationships. It's so deep and how wow. Just wow. You're a brave girl. And then
I,
you're 27 and you're figuring all that out and took Jay like 150 years. So
Yep.
you're doing
151.
Jay and I we gotta razz each other.
Yeah. We go back to kindergarten, Leah. We've literally known each other for over 50 years. Literally.
He might have transitional anxiety because he's never been that long.
honestly, I think a lot of people have transition anxiety. I mean, who wouldn't be,
Sure.
afraid of things changing and whatnot? But, I didn't have a healthy way of dealing with it. So it became so much more than just being, the normal nervous of things changing. It became that I would shut down and it would affect my whole life. And then I have like nightmares about it. I mean, it's not just when I'm awake, it's when I go to sleep. Like, I feel like I can't sleep half the time because when I sleep, it affects me, and I'm like, what can I do so that I can sleep?
Well,
And
our brains, I don't know about, I can tell you female brains, Leah, it's not going to change. Our brains like tune in the middle of the night and decide to solve world peace. It's bizarre. It's not going to get better. It'll probably get worse. So,
oh, geez.
how to calm that brain. Like, come on, let me freaking sleep. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Why are we solving 100 things and naming 25 problems right now at 3 a.m.? right?
I have problems with fears that aren't even realistic. That is was also my problem when I was really little. They were severely unrealistic fears, and now obviously I've gotten past that as I've gotten older, and I have real, normal life fears now. But it came from ever since I can remember. I mean, I just had these fears about things, and I'm like, but for why? And I feel so sick to my stomach, and but as I got older and I realized medicine wasn't going to work for me and I didn't want to rely on medicine because that was another form of anxiety is what if I don't have my medicine? What if this? What if that? I was like, what can I do to, make me feel a little bit better throughout the day? And it would change. I mean, and it was so weird. I don't know if other people have this
Yeah.
situation, but sometimes I would have it at night and I couldn't sleep, and then randomly it would switch to all day long. My heart would race and I could sleep at night very well, and it would just change. And so I had to just find things. I was so desperate to find something that would help me, and they were like, write your thoughts down. Like, if you feel like your brain's going crazy, write down what is worrying you. So that's what I started to do when I was little. I would just write down everything, and then I would kind of talk myself down and be like, all right, this is not realistic, this is not realistic. I could work through the problems. And then, I always had my horses to look
Did
on
that
too.
help, Leah? Did the journaling help you?
Yes, I do feel like in your brain you get a little bit carried away with your thoughts, but by physically writing them down, they almost become real, and then you're like, oh,
Well, Jay and I had a session a couple sessions ago where we talked about fears and insecurities, and talking about just what you said, writing them down, doing a brain dump, maybe doing a brain dump before you go to sleep or a brain dump when you get up, closing the loop for the day, but saying what is the fear and is it really realistic? Writing the stuff out. That's a very good technique that you're sharing.
Google is a good thing sometimes.
Sometimes.
Google was my therapist for a while, but then
Yeah.
obviously, like a normal person, coloring is like a great thing to do when you're a little bit, I just try and distract my brain. I think that the thing that people do is they like to sit there and they like don't want to go to work and they don't want to do this and they just sit at home and they think in their thoughts. And I realize I'm like, that's the worst thing you can do. And I know you don't want to do anything. Believe me, I don't want to do anything either, but the worst thing you can do is sit there and let your brain run away with you. The best thing you can do is distract it in any way.
You're 100% right. That is
That's
what you do.
exactly what self care is.
It's
That's what this whole
distraction.
podcast is about. It's those things, Leah, that
Mhm.
not only do they build and grow mind, body, and soul, but they nurture your mind, body, soul. And like for me, every Friday I'm at the movies, still to this day. That it initially started as I went through a breakup. Let me get out of the house so I don't have to think about that breakup. That's how it started, and I learned that it was doing more than that for me. Yes, it was that for that period of time, but it was okay for those 2 hours. My mind is I'm putting the work week away for the weekend, and it was a trigger. It was a good trigger. Um, so yeah, you're describing self care without
She
putting the
is.
self care label on it, but that's really
Because I
what
didn't
you were
even
doing.
know it was self care at the time. I was just trying to get my brain to shut up at that point.
Yeah,
You need that. Here's how I get my brain to shut up list, right?
Exactly. I'm like, and honestly, even sometimes when nothing works, I know this sounds probably really silly, but I will sit there at night and say blank, 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 blank over and over again because although you can tell yourself not to think, your
Mhm.
stupid little conscience still talks.
Yeah.
And that's the voice that's hard to get to go away is the conscience that keeps talking even when you don't want to think.
You know what I do sometimes, Leah? I have an iPad that I use right now for this, and I don't always do it, but I drew a dumpster with fire around it because I don't know, like that's just what worked for me. I'm visual, if we're a brain dump, so and then I would write things in it that was open looped in my brain. Just write them. Don't make any sense of them. and then try to sleep and then erase it the next day, right? And some days the dumpster would be really full, some days the dumpster wasn't so full, then I wouldn't do it. Like right now I'm not doing it. But when I get heavy for whatever, because we carry like a bag of rocks with us and we keep putting more in it. So how do you dump it?
So Leah, since I've happened to have known you since you were very little, and I actually can remember when you started with your experience with horses. I've anybody who knows you knows what that means to you. But I want you to talk about like
Yeah.
what got you to that ultimate self care for you, and like describe just what it means and what it does for you as far as your peace and mental health.
Well, honestly, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but horses is like a mental illness in itself because you don't get on a horse and feel safe and do what I do and not feel, like most people are scared to death. Most people have these normal, issues, but when I get on a horse, that's what makes my brain quiet. That is where when I'm at the barn, I don't think about anything. And I can only say that my mom and dad used to live in Pennsylvania. And they had a friend, and her mom had horses, and I was probably 3 or 4 years old. And the horse ate my hair, okay? And ever since then, I was like, I've got to ride horses. I've got to ride horses. And, around my house in Pennsylvania, there was nowhere for me to ride. So it wasn't until I moved to Maryland when I was 7 that right down the street from my grandmother's, there was a horse barn. And so my mom finally got me into riding lessons, and ever since then, I was so addicted to it. I can't even describe. I mean, this was before, all my anxiety happened. I was just severely addicted to it. And a lot of, I do have anxiety about that. I manage a horse barn, and all I do when I come home is think about the horses, and I care for them, and I care about the kids that I teach. So that has its own thing in another. But if I were to choose anything that I wanted to do all day, I'd like to be at the barn, because that's the one place where no matter what's going on outside of my life, my brain is severely distracted. And I do feel terrible for people who do not have that passion. I mean, a lot of people like to do things, but to have that passion where you just live and breathe and sleep the passion, that's a whole nother thing. And I can't describe it because a lot of people don't even have it.
Well, look, I've heard horse people are horse people. Let me tell you, I've heard lots of horse people describe it like you. And all I can say is I'm not a horse person, but I like them, and I know that if I look at a horse, I feel like they can read your soul. Their eyes just see right through you. And I think from listening to other people, horses are probably some of the best therapists out there, right? They read you, they get you. They are I think it's a very healing, great. If you got a problem and a passion and an addiction, I think that's a very good one to have.
Lee, it's not what you do; it's who you are. That's kind of when you know it. It's who you are. It's not what you do. There's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people cut grass, some people, live their freaking lives in it, and that's what I do. My whole life, I can't imagine not having them, because that's all I think about. That's all I do. And any animal, I mean, honestly, whether it's horses or dogs, I mean, I have 3 dogs, and I'd love to have a ton more because they are another thing that causes you not to think about anything. And whether that's healthy or not, whether I'm like distracting my feelings or not, I mean, they cause me to take a minute and not worry about all the things that don't matter. They cause me to be present and be happy.
Leah, your camera has you sideways. I don't know if.
Yeah, you're in, there. You
There
go.
you go.
Perfect. There
I
you
say
go.
I
Yep.
don't know if Riverside is that good to correct that, but you're good now. I
I had to
think
plug my phone in.
animals are great therapy. I think that's great that helps you.
So you kind of answered my other question. I was going to ask you. I know you spend most of your time when you're not at home at the barn, but are there other things?
Hmm.
I mean, obviously not as big a deal as horses are to you, but are there other things that you've kind of learned as you talked about journaling a little bit? Journaling a little bit. Are there other things that you kind of found that help you to kind of take your mind and
Or
think
wait,
out?
Jay's terms to get to neutral.
Yeah, get to neutral.
Get the
Oh, I
kind.
have plenty of things. Let me tell you, like every day, and I think that's an important thing too. Is you can't find one thing that works for
Mhm.
you. You have to take day by day, find different things. You know, some I really like to listen to music, but some days that triggers me more than anything, depending on the music. So you know, music can be a hit or miss for me. So you know, I wouldn't say music's my number one go to.
But it's in the
Like I
bag of
said,
tricks. It's
it's a bag of tricks. I love to go in my bag and be like, all right, what's gonna work? You know, even if I try 5 things that day, you know, I was unhappy for so long, when I was younger, and honestly, I've made it a point in the past 4 years that I refuse to be unhappy. And a lot of people are like, oh, you put your happiness too high on a pedestal. And I'm
no,
like,
no,
you
no.
only say that because you haven't been at rock bottom, you know? So, you know, you can say all you want, but I refuse to be unhappy anymore, so I'll do what I have to do.
Yes.
I really
With a
like to
positive
color.
mindset.
Coloring is crazy. You know, but honestly, coloring has become such a big thing. I mean, they have so many adult coloring books now. I mean, I think coloring's a great way to kind of distract yourself. I also have OCD, so like that works for me because I really like to do things like that. I used to paint. I journaled when I was little. I don't really do that much anymore because I found that that hasn't really helped me as I've gotten older. Like you said, you just find new things. Um, my newest thing that I absolutely love is ASMR.
Oh yeah.
Which is
ASMR.
all over TikTok. Yeah.
Can you explain what that is if somebody doesn't know what that is?
So it's, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, but it's an auditory stimulated response in a short term way. And basically, you listen to sounds, um, and it causes your brain to kind of almost feel like if somebody was rubbing your back. Everybody loves their back rubbed. I don't want to hear that you don't like your back rubbed. You know, it feels so good. And honestly, I got that from my Grammy because she had like long nails and she would tickle my back, and like it
Aw.
felt so great. So I almost feel like that kind of hones into everything as well. But every night before I go to sleep, I listen to some sort of ASMR video and I'm out like a light.
It's a
And
calming
so
thing for you. It's relaxing. It's mindfulness. You're
it's something
describing.
I know I can always rely on, you
Mhm.
know, and it's always going to be there, and I don't have to take my meds to go to sleep. You know, I can listen to this little video and I'm out.
So is it fair to say that at your little young age, you have figured out how to have less time of feeling really anxious and worried by using your tricks? Would you say that? Your best.
Yes, I would say that when I was younger, it was severe, and the past few years, granted, I've been kind of in the same situation for like 5 years, which really, really helps. But here recently, I've gone to start a new job, and it has caused a lot of anxiety in my life, and it's
That
like
change.
nightmares again, and like I'm moving and I just feel really not good all the time. Um, but you know, I feel like I did crack the code, but that's not to say that you don't have times where
Right.
it's not gonna come back again and you
It
shouldn't
always
feel
will.
like Yeah, it always will, and you shouldn't. And I try not to get down on it. I try not to tell myself like you're never gonna get better. You're always gonna be like this.
Well,
I
that's
used to
negative.
say that all the time.
You're trying to be
You're always
positive.
gonna be like this, you know.
Well, I say this all the time, and this is true. You can look it up. That our brain is like Velcro to negativity and Teflon, like slides off to positivity. So we got to rewire it because if not, we're going to grab the negative stuff. So I like that you said, I'm going to choose happiness over everything because that's positive. So you're trying to retrain that brain and not holding on to the negative. So I think that's great.
So, Leah, you were talking about coloring, and it reminded me, Cathy, I sent you the link a while back. We had a guest on our podcast. Her name is Rachel Belcher, and she was a first responder, went through a bunch of stuff, and she just published a journal, but it's a coloring book and a journal at the same time, and it's called Heal in Color. And you can go on Amazon, and it's literally, each day you can open up and do whatever, but each day you can color that whatever that scene is, and then write that day or whatever. I just thought that, and it's so funny when you were talking about coloring. I've heard other people talk about that too, and it just clicked. I'm like, oh, that's why Rachel did this with the coloring book, and she combined a coloring book and a journal, and it's called Heal in Color. You can actually, yeah, she just got
People have
published.
pens that they like to use or different mediums to color that,
Oh,
right?
markers. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love certain markers. Yes, that is a thing.
Like you
Hey,
get
Cathy,
joy out of getting those new markers.
Kathy, it's so funny. When Lee was little, she would we'd all be hanging out by the pool, and like she wasn't at the horse barn, but she would set up like her jumping course and
Aw,
pretend like she was on the horse and jump it just herself. And she did that every time we were there. It was
it's
it,
in your
you know,
genetics.
yeah.
All the time. I mean, and I have a sister who, constantly I feel like needs, which I think all kids, in this younger generation, granted I'm not old, but I feel like they need constant stimulatory, you know, things, and I'm like, hell, I would run around for hours around the pool, jumping jumps all by myself because, like I said, if I wasn't at the horse barn, I was pretending to be a horse, and I was and that's where I found my peace and happiness, and it's great. But I also think that goes with the horse girl situation. We are a special breed. We are probably mentally sick as it is. I mean, who does that? I used to get bullied in school for like running around like a horse at recess. So I mean, it's a whole nother thing. But that is what I've realized as I got older helped me get through a lot of things and made me happy.
But
Hey, Leah,
that was your self care at, let's just say you were 8 or 10, whatever it was. Like jumping around the pool was self care. You didn't know it at that age, but that you were putting your mind in a positive place for that little bit of time you were doing that.
do you know Ann Altvater from Campbell's Lane Farm?
Yes.
Yeah, she does. She's such a horse person too, and I've done some leadership programs over at her farm, and just the healing that they have with their donkeys and their horses, and I love that all of you are doing such good things with those animals to help people.
Everybody in the horse world knows everybody, but I mean, obviously dogs, and they have therapeutic dogs and blah blah. But again, horses are. There's something about having this animal that could literally kill you, and you just connect with it, and they're so gentle, and it just, it's just so weird to describe.
I actually talked to, and I don't remember the name of the farm, Leah, but when I was putting together this Eastern Shore Self Care Expo that we're having next month, someone from one of the farms reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to have a horse farm?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they were like, "We're interested." But by the time they got back to me, we were filled up. So,
Jay, that would be a good one to contact. I think.
Well, I know
Maybe they'll
Positive
bring an animal.
Strides is a great place. They do a lot of therapeutic riding there. I'm not
What is
sure
it
if
called,
that
Leah?
Positive Strides
that's
is
it.
the
That's the one.
program.
That's the
Yes,
one. Yeah.
yes, they do amazing things.
Aw.
Yeah, I would recommend that severely.
Maybe they're one to contact, Jay.
And remember, Cathy, when we first started talking about the expo, Anne reached out to us and said, "Hey, would you want to do that
That's
here on our facility?" But we ended up going out. We're having it out at the community center, the skating rink. You should try to get out to see that, Leah. It's on a Saturday. You probably got lessons or whatever at the farm, but we've got 40 different people from different aspects of self-care and wellness that are coming together to just show the community, these are the things that are available to you if you're feeling some kind of way and just need some kind of
Leah.
self-care and some stuff.
Another thing I like about the horse concept in the barns, I like to talk a lot about the concept of nature and awe, AWE, the concept of awe. So what I mean is I always think of awe as nature. It doesn't always have to be that. But for example, if I see a dolphin, I get this, oh my gosh, like I love dolphins. And I can feel it inside of me. There is such positivity and happiness when I see a school of dolphins. And that's an all moment for me. Or Jay knows I have this fascination with palm trees and I grow them. And I could go out and talk and not hug literally, but I pat them. My palm
Cathy,
trees.
let's face it, you do hug your palm trees.
Hug a tree, that's a thing.
So the whole nature thing changes us. It's such a good healing thing, and I didn't even realize till today. I sent you something, Jay, that there's all these different. Every time I looked it up, it was a different number, different kinds of meditation. That there's a walking meditation, and I didn't even realize that. I thought all meditation was just kind of still, but people that walk and then they hear the sounds, or what can they smell, and how does the wind feel in their face, and how's their body feeling as they're walking, or what do they feel in their feet. I didn't realize that was a meditation practice. So nature just offers so much healing.
I think that's a good point. I mean, honestly, I'm not technical savvy. I'm probably the, first 26-year-old to be like, I barely know how to use my phone. I barely know how to use the computer. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I wish we could go back. I used to write my papers by hand. I mean, I absolutely hated, and that could have been another anxiety thing. I have no idea, but I absolutely hate it. And I take every minute when I'm out with the horses and I leave my phone on the trash can and I don't touch it for 8 hours, and all you're stuck with is your thoughts, and which can be bad sometimes, but in the moment all you're doing is thinking like, I'm just so grateful to be here, and I like what I'm doing. And I've been in points in my life where I hate my job, and I really love my job now, and all I do is try and just take a moment and be like, it's a beautiful day, it's warm, I hate the cold. I hate the cold, and I'm just, every day I just am so grateful that it's warm. I'm so grateful that I'm here with the horses. And I think that's important, to get off your phone and to like not distract yourself with that crap, and just
100%. You need to say that again to every young person out there.
just like what you said, you were like, I'm just in my, just thinking about things and just being present. And, you get wiped away from all that when you're just scrolling.
Yes, I agree 100%.
TikTok is terrible. My own father has a TikTok at 50 something years old, and I refuse to get one. And I mean, sure, it's funny and whatnot, but I mean, it just brain wipes you, and you get so obsessed with it, and then it takes away from being present. And I am the
really like
wisest 26-year-old.
I just say that's what I said earlier, Leah, when I was saying you're so much farther ahead of the game than you realize. But when you're in the middle of your struggle, you don't realize those things.
Sounds like she's done some deep work. You've done some deep work on yourself.
It's hard for me to find people who like agree with that. I mean, everybody I know, they're just obsessed with their phone and this and that and the other, and I'm like, can we just not? I mean, it's hard to find. I mean, I have probably 2 friends, honestly, and for a reason, because I choose to not have people in my life that don't benefit me at all, but. It's hard to find people who feel. I don't know anybody who feels the way I feel about that kind of stuff,
Yes.
Awesome. So before we get out of here, we're going to jump and go a little bit lighter. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our new music and movie trivia questions. So Leah, since you're the guest, I'm going to let you go first and ask your question and see if Cathy and I
Okay.
can figure it out.
Wait, are we answering this or are we just saying
We're
that?
answering. Write it down, Cathy. I don't want one of us to spoil it for the other one.
Okay.
Oh, well, mine's gonna be pretty easy. And if anybody who's watching this knows me, this is going to be the most obvious question I'd ever ask. I'm just gonna show this as a, little hint. But my question is, what was the year that the original Lion King came out?
Ooh, that's a great question. Ah,
I have to think about that.
I was afraid about this because I was like, oh my gosh, they're movie,
So wait.
fanatics and,
So are you writing one down and I'm writing one down?
yeah, because I don't want to say it that way. One of us, you know what I'm saying? I like this question because I don't know the answer to it.
I'm going to guess, though.
I'm trying to make sense of it.
the original, not the new one. The original.
Yep. Oh gosh, I'm trying to. Oh,
I
like being stumped. I do.
I got to guess. I wrote my guess down. I locked in. Boom.
This is just a total guess.
We have to get these. We have to be like Jeopardy. We need to write it down.
We should play Jeopardy one time.
What's your guess, Cathy?
Are you gonna let me go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll take 2002 for 500. All right, Jay.
All right, so I wrote 2004, and that's just a shot in the dark.
What is it? Did you Prices Right me? What is it?
Do I tell the answer?
Yep,
or we?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. 1994.
Oh.
So technically, I win. I Prices Right.
Nobody wins that one. We both got it wrong. It's not the closest. It's right or wrong.
I Prices Right at you. I go on a stage. So
my first thought was 99, and I still would have been wrong. I was like,
98 was the Lion King 2, just for trivia questions.
I kept thinking, man, it can't be that old. It can't be that. And my first thought was 99, but I'm like, nah. So yeah, we both got a 0 for that one.
But in my mind, I won.
Okay.
I Prices Right at you.
Sure.
All right.
So what's your question, Cathy?
You ready?
Yep.
This is movies, also movie trivia. All right. What was Tom Hanks' first Academy Award winning movie?
Oh, jeez.
First Academy Award winning movie.
I'm moderately confident about this one. Go ahead, Leah.
Okay, so I don't really remember the name of the movie, but I'm gonna be very wrong here, and I'm gonna say the second one just came out, but the first one came out a long time ago. It was the flight movie or whatever it was. I can't remember the name of it.
Apollo 13?
No.
You said there's two of the movies?
Yes. So then I got it wrong already.
You definitely got it wrong.
Okay.
But now I want to know what movie you're talking about.
I think that was a bit before my time.
Oh, you're thinking about when he gets stranded on the island?
Oh, there's only one of those, Jay.
I did like that movie.
I did too.
Castaway. One of them.
Castaway.
Okay, if you're stranded on the island, they found you. You're not back on it. Don't you know we go?
True. There is no number 2.
Anyway, what do you got today? I know you know it.
Philadelphia.
Wrong. It was Big.
He won an Oscar for Big?
The movie, Academy Award winning movie. Big, 1988.
That was a tough question. You gotta make mine,
I don't listen. I'm not. I get competitive, so I'm competitive with Jay. It's okay.
So nobody's gotten anything right so far.
No.
All right. So my question is mine's music, because I did movies last week, so I'm doing music this week. Who What musical artist has won the most Grammys in history?
Oh gosh.
And I will say this person just recently broke the record just a few years ago. I'll give you a little bit of a
I
hint.
got it. I got
And
it.
there was controversy surrounding it.
I think I got it.
Well, it's definitely not Michael Jackson. That was my first guess, and then you just gave me a hint that it wasn't Michael Jackson.
Do you want a second guess?
Honestly, my only other one was Beyonce.
Yep.
It was?
Yep.
I was going to go Taylor, so I lost.
What was your guess, Kathy?
I was going to say Taylor. Beyonce
No.
would have been my second guess.
She just broke the record, and it's funny. It was a few years ago at the Grammys, and she was up for an award, but Harry Styles ended up winning, and the crowd booed Harry Styles because they wanted Beyonce to break the record. You know how many she's won?
No.
32.
Wow.
32 Grammys. She just broke the record maybe
So
3 or 4
speaking
years
of
ago.
winning, what is our scoreboard of?
Well, you and I are still tied. Well, actually, Leah's got 1 point, so she's tied with you and I because you and I both got 1 point from last week.
So we're still on the ones.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're still neck and neck.
Okay.
For round
I'm
2.
just glad I had something to bring to this. I mean, when you said movie or trivia, I'm like, well, heck, they're movie fanatics. I got nothing to bring to the table.
No,
I could probably pull out some music.
That was a great. I actually, believe it or not, I love when I don't know the answer because that means I'm going to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me think. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was that far long ago. So now, part 2 of this segment is all about what we've been watching lately. So Leah, I know you've been watching something streaming wise, or some kind of movie or something that you've liked recently. It doesn't have to be something new. It can be something older that you watched.
Well, I would just say maybe a little bit of a mini story. So with my transitional anxiety, I get addicted to one show.
Really?
So I like The Magicians. A lot of people are gonna laugh at that. It was on Netflix. They took it off. It was my go-to show for like 7 years. And here I'm a sci-fi gal. I'm like big on that kind of stuff. So I recently started the Sun Summoner, and just really like that kind of stuff. My boyfriend's into the SVU, the police stuff, and I'm like, that stuff's a little bit too much drama for me. I kind of like a little bit of some magical, fake stuff.
I started watching that, Leah, a while back, right before they took it off, and I even told Cathy it kind of reminded me of like Harry Potter, but different because it was like a magic school.
They compare it to Harry Potter, but honestly, I never really got into that much Harry Potter. I thought The Magicians was maybe for like the younger-ish crowd, but I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have the books. I have all the movies on DVD. I mean,
are you a reader too? Do you like to read?
I do like to read when I have the time.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, Kath, what have you been watching lately?
So, to stay in my true crime phase of life, right? Jay gets me on all kinds of different rabbit holes, but as I patiently await Only Murders in the Building, what is it, September 9th or whatever?
Yeah.
It got me on Only Murders in the Building, which I love. I'm trying to push it on Facebook today.
I saw that.
They're like my friends. I miss them. I can't wait for that to come back. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm looking at true crime stuff. And Marty's like, we need something quick. We need something like until all this stuff starts rolling. We need quick stuff. So last night, for some reason, we decided to be in such a cheerful mood. We started watching American Manhunt, the Boston Marathon bombing. For light stuff before you go to bed. So yeah, and that had some real live footage of that Boston Marathon. Did you see that, Jay? Did you see that?
I've seen documentaries of that. And I actually watched the Mark Wahlberg movie about that, too.
I'm going to tell you what, that real live footage of those two explosions, it scared me. I mean, it was wow. I just wow. And just to watch, the people come back and do these documentaries and just see their pain. It just breaks your heart. But anyway, that's that. But on a happier note, we'll go to a happier note. We were camping this weekend, and our friends introduced us to a comedian that I thought was hilarious. And his name is, I'm going to say his last name wrong, but the first name is Nate
Borgazzi. Yeah, love him.
That guy is great. And
Yeah.
I read that he's the highest grossing stand-up comic in 2024, and he's named the clean comedian. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's so funny.
I mean, he describes, when he's describing himself and his wife, I'm just like, Marty, I'm like, do you hear that? He's talking about us. What a funny guy. Yep. So look him up if you are looking for, you want to laugh, and he talks about real life stuff. That Nate Bargatze, is that how you say it?
Bargatze, yep.
And there's a lot. He's on Netflix. You can YouTube.
Yep. You got all kinds of specials, yeah.
Funny stuff. I would definitely go see him. He's good. Anyway, that's all I got.
Kathy, write this down for your true crime. This is a true story.
True story, got it.
It's called Unbelievable. It's a docu-series, and Caitlin Dever plays the main character. She's like the young up-and-coming actress that's on The Last of Us. She's one of the new young it girl for actresses, or one of them anyway. It's a true story. You'll really like it.
I will.
Yep.
Is that on Netflix?
It's on probably. It's
on probably. I've never heard of that.
Netflix land, even though I have other.
I watch all the streaming services, Leah, so I can't remember which is on which service.
All right. Fair
so
enough.
I started watching. I kept hearing people on other podcasts talk about the show called The Hunting Wives.
Oh dear! And I just finished that.
Oh, you did?
You saw it?
Oh, I saw it.
Okay, now Kathy.
What did scare me?
I loved it.
It's gonna scare somebody.
I saw all the whole series, the whole season, right back to back.
You're a man.
Is it made up?
It's fiction. Yes, it's called. Now it's a lot of bare boobs. Like every other
season. The most important part is not the storyline. Let's just say that.
Well, here's the thing, though, Leah. I was like, I'm a murder mystery guy, so I'm the whole time trying to figure out who killed the girl. Like that was my thing.
Oh, same. And I'm like, I'm like, how can it be? I hate to do some spoilers, but I'm like, how can it be Jill? Because Jill this and Jill, how'd she get the gun? And I'm like, this is confusing. Like I was totally in on it, and then they distract you every single scene with the boobs and everything.
But see, I'm not a boob guy, so it didn't really do. I was here to hear like literally the very first scene, Kathy. Malin Ackerman, who's one of the lead characters, is in the bathroom with another chick, Brittany Snow, and shows her boobs. And the other lead actor is Dermot Mulrooney, who was in My Best Friend's Wedding.
That's my guy. I like him.
Yep. He doesn't play a real good character in this one, though.
He's not. I can't watch it.
But what I liked was,
I don't want him to be
at first you thought it was the pastor, the young pastor at first, and then you thought it was Jill, and then you didn't know who it was, and then they saw
it was Mrs. Peacock.
Then they saw what was her name?
It was Mrs. Peacock at the end.
But there's going to be a season 2. I'm like, ooh, I
don't know how they're going to go on about it. I mean, I imagine they'll do good.
She ran over the brother, she ran over him with a car, and then yeah.
I'm in reality TV right now. Or real TV.
I got confused with one thing. Like the doctor was calling her Mandy, but she was Margot.
Well, I was confused by the end of it because they finally made up and they were in love, and then she was like, "Oh, she's got tampons," and I'm like, "Why are you upset? Like, what? You got the love of your life," and then they clicked it at the end, and I was like, "Oh." Yeah,
I didn't like that. Got me too because I thought the girl had the abortion the whole time. All along it was Margot that had the abortion. Yeah, there's definitely a very sexual theme to it, and it's a lot of bare boobs. But I was kind of like, that was in the background for me. I was like, who really did this? Because what's her face, the new girl, it was kind of like adult version of Mean Girls. I had this clique of women that were like mean and nasty to everybody who they felt was below them. But yet it was also like that movie, that series, The Perfect Couple with Nicole Kidman. It was very much like that. Rich people that just this guy was going to run for office. He wanted to be the governor of Texas, and
I still need to see that.
That's Dermot Mulroney. But that one's good too.
I still.
But yeah, I thought for sure, Leah, you were going to tell me that you'd watched The Sunrise Pretty.
What?
Oh, Leah would have seen The Sunrise Turned Pretty for sure.
No, I've seen that, but I have not gotten a chance to watch that. No, I'm not a chick flick kind of gal.
It's definitely that. I mean, the first 2 seasons were pretty good. This season hasn't been really that good. Cathy is an Outer Banks fan, and it's kind of sort of similar.
Never seen that either.
Oh my gosh, I love Outer Banks. Love Outer Banks, and they're making another season. And I'm so happy. I thought we were done. I love Outer Banks. Watch Outer Banks.
Leah, have you ever watched Ted Lasso?
Is that the name of the show?
Yes.
No.
You will love that because it's very.
And Only Murders. You got to watch Only Murders too.
Yeah, and Only Murders, and those are the two big. Ted Lasso is the best show ever made in the history of television.
We do love it.
All right, I gotta write that down. The last one I really liked was the guy who came from New York and he was kind of running his own little mob. I can't remember what it was called, but I guarantee you've seen it. It was really good.
But Ted Lasso, you will feel every emotion, every episode. It's so. I mean, it's so amazing, and they just picked up to do season 4. They
weren't supposed to.
They weren't supposed to, but it was so popular. It broke. It was like Stranger Things. It broke the internet for Apple. And
it's like a pop culture thing at this point.
It's Cathy and I have a friend who's been on the podcast, and she wrote a book called Lead It Like Lasso, and she refers to the Ted Lasso show and her leadership plan.
Oh, check this out. I'm going to have Marnie do a half-day session at the Chesapeake College Higher Ed Center, probably in October, on her Lead It Like Lasso curriculum. I'm really excited about that.
Very cool.
You would like that, Jay, but you'd have to take off work.
Yeah. Well, Leah, I can't thank you enough for reaching out. I was both pleasantly surprised and proud that you were willing to be vulnerable and share your stuff. That we our stuff is not always. We a lot of times feel like it's the ugliest and darkest and most scarred parts of us, and we for a long time don't want anybody to see it. But it's those. To me, it's those parts that is the tool that helps us to best serve someone else in their healing journey, because it connects us. And if it can help somebody listened to you today and thought, oh, I know exactly what she's going through, or I felt that way myself. You may never know who it was that heard that and felt that way, but I'm telling you, somebody, probably more than one person, has been helped by you coming along and helping your anxiety and some of the things that you've been doing to help navigate that. So I can't thank you enough.
I feel like I've had a lot of people be like, oh, you'll be fine. Oh, just don't think about it. Oh, do this, don't do that. And I'm like, people need people who are actually going to say things that matter. Like, you might not be okay right now, but you can try and find things that will make it a little better. It's not going to be okay. It's not going to be fixed, but you can try.
Sometimes it's just navigating the moment, navigating the day, and accumulating those things enough so we're like, oh, I'm adding enough positive to get me to neutral and hopefully beyond to navigate. And as we grow and evolve as people, like you said earlier, the things we do for self-care will change, and we'll adapt, and we'll add and subtract and do whatever. And we always carry that stuff. It's always going to be there, but we can put it in a place where we can carry it more comfortably. I still, even at 58 years old, I have moments and I have days where I will get physical symptoms, like I'll physically shake, like I have cold chills, or just like that, where it gets me. They're very less frequent than they used to be, far less severe as they used to be. I had one a while back, and Cathy kind of talked me through it, and I've kind of learned breathing techniques, I'll turn something on my phone that I know that I enjoy watching, whether it's a show or music or whatever. And like Cathy and I like to talk about, get to neutral. I can't go from 1 to 10 right away, but I can get myself to neutral where I can regroup, take a deep breath, and say, okay, now it's my next step, and let's try to go to the more positive side with the pendulum swinging. So,
And I always feel like, at least for me, and I don't experience anxiety to the extent that you guys do, but when I'm in a way over whatever I'm thinking about, sometimes I don't do a good job at pulling my tools out of that, box of tricks or toolbox or whatever. So I really have tried to practice. Okay, I can know how to be preventative and what I'm gonna do if I need it, but I gotta really do it when I'm in that moment, right? When you really can't sleep or you really are worried about something, because we all worry about all kinds of things. What you gotta practice it, you gotta do it. You gotta deep breathe. You gotta flip the mind into a different perspective, even if it's just for like 5 minutes, so you can get off the negative train. But
And
yeah,
we
and
could
I'm glad.
talk for hours on coping mechanisms, and I'd like to come on here again and kind of get a little bit more into them
Do
because I
it.
feel like we
yep,
just kind of touched the surface, you know?
Well,
yep,
you have an open invitation for part 2 where you
yep,
get down and dirty to the rest of the coping mechanisms. We
yep.
love it.
So, guys, we appreciate you joining us this week for Eastern Shore Talk. Take care, and we'll check you next time. Take care, guys.